In the beginning of the movie, we are shown Richard and Anthony's childhood videos. Both of them are brothers and love each other a lot. Richard takes care of his younger brother Anthony a lot, because Anthony was mentally weak. But as time went by, they grew up and Richard went to the army, and so poor Anthony was left alone. The scene cuts to the present time, where we see that Richard has come back to his town. Coming to the town, as everyone is happy, Richard is not happy. He looks angry as if he has come to do something dangerous. Years ago, when he left Anthony alone, some chemical substance mafia people followed him. They treated Anthony very badly. They made him drunk, they abused him, and all this did not stop and went on for years. That as soon as Richard found out about this, he immediately took a vacation to avenge his brother, and came to his town. That as soon as he comes here, he tells his brother, "Don't worry, no one can even look at you with a bad eye, because I'm back." We see that these two brothers were staying in a small farmhouse. As soon as morning comes, he goes to a cafe in search of his brother's criminals. The cafe belonged to the leader of the chemical substance mafia. He sees a man named Herbie in the cafe, who works as a chemical substance supplier. Richard kept staring at him for a long time, so this man also asked Richard, "Hey, what's the matter?" As soon as he said that, Richard also came here in anger, and fearing his anger, this man had gone from here. That he goes upstairs and takes chemical substances from the chemical substance mafia, and he is leaving for his house. Richard had come in front of him again. That as soon as he sees Richard, he loses his breath. That he was scared. But Richard shakes hands with him and says, "Forgive me that I shouldn't have shouted at you." That man says, "It's okay." That as soon as he said this, he did not stop here. He had run away from here, because he knew that Richard was Anthony's brother. He also tells this to his friends, that Richard, Anthony's brother, has come back. As soon as they heard this, all those moments came in front of their eyes, when they had done something bad to Anthony. Now at night, Richard tells Anthony, "I have to go back to the town for some work." Hearing the name of the town, Anthony was scared. He says, "I won't go." Richard says, "Okay, you stay here. I'll finish my work and come." Here the scene is cut, and it is shown that someone knocked at Herbie's house. When Herbie goes out to see, there was a man standing there wearing a gas mask. Herbie recognizes that this is Richard. He thought that Richard has come to kill him. That's why he called his friends out in fear. But now there was no one outside. When these people came back home, there was a warning written on the wall for them, which made them know that Richard had come to their house. But now not to kill them, just to scare them. He succeeded in the mission. That means these people got scared badly. After spending the night, with great difficulty, in the morning, they go to their gang leader for Richard's issue, that he should help them. Richard had turned the gang leader's face into a clone, which he did not know because he was drunk at night. Herbie tells him that all this is Richard's action, Anthony's brother, who has come back to take his revenge. That as soon as he heard Anthony's name, even he lost his mind, because he was the one who tortured Anthony the most. Now these people were talking. In the meantime, the members of their other group also come, who also had the same condition as the gang leader. Along with fear, they had anger and pain, because all the people of the city were afraid of him. And here someone was scaring them. There is definitely a big support behind them. The group leader thinks that the girl working in his group, Richard, has told him about the atrocities against Anthony. That's why they go and torture this girl a lot. But this girl is also innocent. She did not tell Richard anything like that. These people just leave from here. That they see Richard standing nearby. After seeing Richard, the rest had run away. But the gang leader stands here. He asks Richard, "Tell me, what is your problem? Don't you feel afraid of us?" In response, Richard says, "You should be afraid. Before threatening me, think that if I wanted, I would have killed you last night. But I made you a clone and left you. In anger, the gang leader says, "What do you want now?" Richard says, "Whatever you want, I will tell you all. But all of you come to my farmhouse." Richard's attitude had bothered them even more. At night, the gang leader, together with his other group members, plans to kill Richard. They were just talking, that a member of the group got up and went to the washroom. After a long time, they go to the bathroom and check. There they find the corpse of their companion, who had been killed with an axe, and behind him was written, "One down," that is, one dead. These people who were planning to kill Richard killed one of his men before making a plan. Now, the gang leader was also starting to get scared. They spend the night in this grief. But in the morning, the gang leader, to kill Richard, together with the rest of the group, goes to Richard's farmhouse. He kept a rifle to kill Richard. He sends his companion inside the farmhouse so that he can get Richard out as soon as he comes out. The group leader shoots him with a rifle. But this bullet, instead of hitting Richard, had hit his own companion. His own companion was killed with his own bullet. This stupid gang leader had only brought one bullet, because he thought that he would kill Richard with one bullet. Now he didn't even have a weapon. Unwillingly, to save their lives, they have to go back to the city. Their bad luck is that after going a little far, their car's fuel runs out. To get it filled, they stop at a gas station. This time, because of fear, their condition was very bad. Here, their one companion, who was very scared, he did not want to go back to the round because he knew that Richard would definitely come. There to kill them, he tells all of them to go somewhere else. But no one agreed to go with him. That's why he leaves them alone. One more bad news they got. Now their car is also broken. Unwillingly, they have to walk the rest of the journey. These people decide to stay together because they knew that as long as they stay together, there are more chances of survival. On the way, the last people reach the gang leader's house. As soon as they come here, these people pick up their weapons. First of all, they go to check the upper portion of the house. That did Richard hide here before them. He was hiding in their house, but not in the upper portion, now in the kitchen. Here, he puts their chemical substances in their kettle. These people make tea in the same kettle and drink it. After that, their condition worsens a lot. The dose of the chemical substance was too much, because of which they started to lose consciousness. They were suffering like a fish without water. This time Richard, to make them feel the pain of his brother, he tortures them a little. And then he takes the gang leader to another room. He ties a chopper to his head. He shoots him on his head and kills him. After that, he goes to Herbie. He doesn't kill Herbie. He says to him, "You look a little better among them all, so I won't treat you as badly as them. But yes, for this you will have to support me too." As soon as he says this, Richard opens the suitcase, in which the dead body of his companion was kept, who left them in the morning, and ran to the other side of the town. Herbie gets more scared after seeing this, and agrees to Richard's help. Richard had to find out about another member of his group, whose name is Mark. Herbie gives Richard his address. As soon as he finds out, Richard hugs Herbie. He didn't hug him for friendship. Instead, he hugged Herbie to kill him by deceit. He stabbed Herbie from behind and killed him. After the scene cut, the next scene, we see that Richard has come to Mark's town with his brother, Anthony. Here, he first sees Mark's children, to whom he gives a knife and a mask and says, "Go, son, take them to your house and say, 'This was given by the soldier.'" As soon as they go home, they give the knife to Mark. Mark gets scared after seeing this and takes the children to the car where the soldier Richard met the children. This was actually Richard's plan, to get Mark out of the house. This time, Richard was near his house. As soon as he leaves, he knocks on his house and tells his wife when Mark comes, tell him that Anthony's brother Richard had come. When he comes home, Mark's wife tells this to Mark, and as soon as he hears Anthony's name, his mind goes blank. He too was seeing his death near. That's why before he dies, he tells his wife the truth himself, that Anthony was a small member of his group. Everyone in his group used to abuse him and used to make him do chemical substances. And he couldn't do anything, because he was a little crazy. Mark tells his wife, "Believe me, I have never done this to him. I have never treated him badly. But yes, my only mistake is that I didn't stop him from being bad. And by doing this to me, this evil increased so much that one day the group members overdosed him. Then, to vent their anger, they beat him a lot. But still, they didn't feel satisfied. Then, they put a rope around his neck and made him fall again and again as if he was hung. That time, Anthony was shouting and calling his brother. But all these people told him to shut up. That if you shout more, your brother will get shot, that he will die. In the midst of all this, when they didn't satisfy, they locked him up in a dangerous and dark room, where Anthony hung himself and killed himself. There is a big twist in this story. The Anthony that we are seeing, along with Richard. We know that Anthony was killed many years ago. The Anthony we see along with Richard is just Richard's imagination. Richard regretted that he left his brother. And because of leaving him, his brother died. That's why he came back here to take revenge on all these things. When Richard came to his brother Anthony's funeral, as a soldier, he realized that this is not a self-murder. Since then, he started to find out the truth behind his brother's death. As time passed, he realized that this whole group was responsible for his brother's death. That's why he wanted to kill all of them. Now, we see that Richard comes to the same dark room with Mark where Anthony died. He asks Mark in anger, "Tell me what happened when my brother died that day." Mark tells the whole story that he just told to his wife. He apologizes to Richard and says, "I didn't do anything wrong with Anthony. Yes, it was my fault that I didn't stop the evil." In response, he tells him, "I have taken revenge on everyone's mistakes, but now, who will take revenge on my mistakes?" While crying here, he tells Mark that even he didn't like his brother Anthony. Even he was a burden to him. That's why he left him. This guilt is tormenting me, even though I didn't do anything good with him. I should be paid back for this all. So kill me. Mark didn't want to kill him, but Richard forced him again and again, and Mark stabbed him in the stomach and killed him. Mark survived because he didn't do anything wrong. Now, he was going back home, and while showing him, this story ends here.